Alright, here we go. River. He got a coat! You look so cool, buddy. Did he get this for Christmas?
Yeah.
Nice. Alright, what's going on?
Not much. We've been doing good. Obviously hard to do walks.
Still not seeing very. Yeah, it's been
the past few days.
a blizzard. Have you seen any dogs over since our last session?
No.
Oh man, bummer.
Because it was so cold and.
That's okay. I understand. Have you at least had a couple opportunities to work on at least tightening the positioning up and stuff?
Yeah.
And what have you noticed in doing that? Anything?
He's definitely been better. I think like maybe if he does like get out of position in like the first few minutes, like one correction, and then he's
good to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
For
cool.
Majority of the walk.
All right. Well, let's do this. What we'll do is we'll go down to the main road, go a block or two up and down, and then what we might do is just take him to the pet store or something.
Okay.
Because it's still pretty chilly out. So. There we go. We got a dog across the street over there. How's your jaywalking skills? Make sure you get this on camera, Paige. Breaking the law. Actually, I'll let you handle this. Handle this however you remember from last time. I want to test your skills.
Okay.
Sweet. That's right, bud. Nice. That was very good. All right, let's tell him to come and we'll walk this way a little bit. That was excellent. I think we're getting somewhere here. I really think I think it looks good.
Yeah.
I think you've got this at this point. What I want to do is I'm gonna put you on the calendar we'll do a call next week. We'll just hop on the phone 10 minutes, 15 minutes, touch base on this stuff. In between now and then, I want you to try to get him to like a pet store once or twice, really look for other dogs. I want you to have had a couple of opportunities of passing other dogs, whatever it is, whether it's a store, whether it's on the street, whatever, right? And I just want to see just how it goes without me there, obviously. But today, your timing with everything was perfect. Motivation level on the corrections was perfect. And he passed, 3 dogs, and no problem, right? So I think those couple adjustments we made, I think you got it.
Okay.
You know, I think he'll be okay with that. Is there anything outside of the reactivity stuff that you feel like you have any questions on or issues with or anything like that?
I don't think so. Just like with his toys and stuff, he did a couple times like over Christmas, like new toys and stuff. But
Yeah. And what was the issue again?
He just like the 3 of the dogs together.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. Was it primarily towards the dog he doesn't live with or your other dog?
My dog.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. And okay. So in those situations, again, if you could recall 1 or 2 of the scenarios, you know, I know you said he's all excited, there's new toys, stuff like that. Was it a matter of just like they're all going for the toy, like you get a toy out, they're all trying to grab it and stuff? Like, was it like that, or?
He gets greedy, so if my other dog has like a toy and she drops it or something, then he'll run over and grab it. So like I corrected him for that, and then he like left it alone, but. Did he do anything aside from that, or was it just?
He like growls and protects it after that, like.
But after you correct it, or do you mean like he runs over, grabs it, right, and then you correct him and then he stops?
Yeah.
But he stops when you correct him for it.
The first couple of times he like hunkered down with it.
Yeah.
And then after.
Were you still at that real high level like you were today?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you just correct him again, or what did you do then at that point? And
I did it again, and then he kind of like left it alone and walked away.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, same deal, right? Like, I'm going to, like, no, right? If he continues, no, right? If he doesn't, you know, we would follow through with that until he fully disengages from that item. And maybe what I would do is, one, obviously there's a level of management that goes into play of, like, you know, holidays, a lot of stuff going on. Like, we can't just be all like willy-nilly with the toys where it's just like, here's 20 toys we're just like throwing at the dogs, or like, here's a new one for you, here's a new one for you, here's a new one for you kind of thing, right? Like, there's a degree of management that goes into play of like, we want to be prepared to, the second he even thinks about going for that toy, correcting for it. You know what I mean? Like, we know he's going to get defensive over it, and he's going to go and run and try to grab that thing the second she drops it. So I'm only going to give one of them a toy if I'm sitting like ready, where like the second you drop this thing, I'm ready to nail him for it if he goes for it. You know what I mean? So there's a degree of that goes into play. And then additionally, I would try to set up a couple scenarios like with that same example, you know what I mean? Where it's like, you can get some sort of really high value toy, make sure there's only one of them out, give it to her, right? Let her engage with it. And your job at that point is to teach him, you need to totally ignore her while she's chewing on that toy. You know what I mean? And set up a couple scenarios where you've had an opportunity to like be prepared to address it right away, you know?
Okay. Because even if they each have one, it's not even, he just
wants
what
hers.
she has.
Of course. So that's the biggest thing, right? Is like, you have to teach him it's hers, right? Like, I am setting this like force field around her, where sometimes I won't even let him get to a point where he actually gets the toy, right? Let's say she's chewing on it and she just stops for half a second, you know what I mean? Like, if he even gets within a, let's say hypothetically, a 5-foot bubble of her, like he's going for it. Let's say Paige is the other dog, I'm River. He goes, she dropped the toy, no, boom, right? It's right there that I'm catching it. I'm not going to wait until he's already gotten into her space and stolen that toy. Then at that point, I'm going to nail him for it when he's starting to go for that toy, right? And then same deal. You gotta catch that consistently, just a couple times, and really set that tone. And sometimes I'll do with some dogs, like if I've noticed, let's say you corrected him one time at a 90, and same deal, it was like a little bit of like he didn't like it, but he's like, let me see if I can kind of fight through it. I'll implement with some dogs like a 3 or 4 tap thing, where it's like, you know, if he does it like the next time, knowing that he kind of does that, it's going to be no tap, 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 right? Or something like that, you know? That's going to be much more effective and get him to really just jump away from that thing the second it happens. You're just making it more aversive and making it more likely he's going to want to avoid that the next time.
Yeah, other than she still hates new people coming into the house. And like, she'll stay on the bed as long as I'm in the room with her, but she never relaxes. And if they make any movement, she growls and teeth come out, and she just...
Does she get off?
If I'm... Well, she tries to, and then I tell her no, and she stays. Her hating my dad is a real big problem, because they're my dog sitters when I go out of town.
Well, where are you at with that, right? So well, let me ask you this. How much has she been around him lately?
Not much, because he's now afraid of her.
Okay. What is not much?
So only once in the past week.
Once in the past week? And what did you do?
He sat on the couch and she stayed on her bed. And then she started. So she stayed there until, you know, she tried to relax a little bit, but if he like moved at all, like, she just growled at him and teeth come out. So he had to sit completely still if she was going to relax at all. And this is still staying on the bed, but she doesn't get off the bed when he's there.
Yeah. So it sounds like you might be doing a lot of adjusting to her still. Like, you're putting her on the bed, but like, you're focused on like, you want to see her chill out, which I get, obviously, but you're focused on wanting to see her chill out by adjusting what the people are doing to get her to chill out. And you kind of just described, like, you were like, yeah, like, she would get really nervous on the bed if your dad would move, so he just stayed totally still, right? Well, if the motion is the trigger that's making her uncomfortable, the motion is what needs to happen. You know what I mean? So let's say right now, she's on the bed, obviously. she's whatever. Let's say hypothetically she was uncomfortable by all these people moving around or something like that. I wouldn't be like, stop moving, right? What I would do is I would make them keep moving, right? And kind of pushing that threshold a little bit. Where like, let's say walking by the bed was a trigger, right? We're gonna run that. We're going over here and looking at the stuff over here, right? We're gonna simulate that, right? And we're gonna make sure we're nice and high on the level and ready to correct the second she were to get up, right? Same deal with you were saying, like out of sight or out of the room or something like that. We need to push that picture more than at that point. You know what I mean? And the positive is, right, like her behavior right now is even better than the last time that you came in with her, obviously, from a distraction standpoint. She's more comfortable with the things going on around her. So she clearly can make this happen, but if you find yourself in this boat where you're almost avoiding some of these situations to get her past it, it's like you're gonna find yourself never ultimately getting her to overcome those hurdles, right? So like she has to be around your dad. You know what I mean? Like there's no alternative, right? Like any opportunity possible for you to get her around your dad, you have to be taking advantage of. And we know she's going to get uncomfortable and she'll be like, I don't like you, I don't like you, right? This, that. But we know she's also not going to get off of the bed, and we know if she does get off of the bed, we got a way to say, hey, boom, big correction for that, right? That stuff's not going to fly right now, which are going to be really great learning opportunities for this. But again, the only way to get past it is by having her in that situation. And you see, there's, what, 2, 4, 6, there's 7 people in this area right now, right? And if anything, she wants to get up to go say hi right now, not so much that she's like uncomfortable and wants to go bite them. And that's just because we put her through the motions with this kind of stuff quite a bit already.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
do you think I should take her to their house?
You have to.
Okay.
Oh, you have to. You know what I mean? So that was going to be my next question is, how often are you with your dad?
I mean, not very often. I usually go over there once or twice a month.
Oh, okay. Once or twice a month. I understand. Well, you know, yeah, maybe you spend the next month saying we're going to try to, you know, get her past this, and maybe you go there once a week for the next month. Okay. You know what I mean? 4 opportunities, 2-hour-long bed stay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, we need to get her in that environment, knowing the first couple times she's going to be uncomfortable with it, and just getting her to deal. You know what I mean? She's got to just deal with it, right? And you'll see, like just like when she first came here and she hated all of us initially, you know what I mean? She'll realize once she's around him a couple of times and that he's not messing with her or anything like that, that you know, she'll warm up and it won't be a problem. You just got to get past that initial hurdle with it. That really is it. You know? And again, it's a prerequisite thing, right? Like it's not that, obviously we don't want her growling on the bed or anything like that, but it's also not something I'm overly concerned about because I know it's a necessary step she has to go through to get to the being comfortable side of things, right? It's her just saying I'm uncomfortable, right? But she's not really doing anything, you know what I mean? She's putting on a big show to say, hey, I'm uncomfortable and I don't want you to mess with me right now, which nobody's messing with her, so it's not a big deal, right? But it's the prerequisite of we need to see her ultimately hit that point of just being okay, being on the bed, nobody's messing with you, and just ultimately she will chill out. She's not going to do it forever.
It's really pushing her through it.
Yeah, just pushing her through it, right? And taking advantage of every opportunity you have that you could start working through this, you've got to work her through it. Okay. You know what I mean? She needs to just be around people and be around people that are not messing with her. You know what I mean? In a controlled way, using our positions and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
So I would not look at so much her growling on the bed as being this like inherent terrible thing that's happening, or it means that she's never gonna get past that point or anything. It's just one of those things where it's the next step of what she needs to work through. And also, let's reshape the mentality from like she wants to kill all of your guests that come over to she's very uncomfortable around your guests. But I definitely don't think she wants to kill all of your guests that come over.
She looks like she does.
Yeah, but if she really wanted to, she would be up trying to chase them down every chance she had, right? Like, if anything, her defensive behavior she's showing, aka growling, barking, anything like that, is her trying to get them to not approach her, right? That's not the same thing as her wanting to kill people. That's her wanting people to stay away from her, right? Very different things. And the reason why that mentality shift is necessary is because you could really like like subconsciously reframe how we look at our dog by how we describe things to ourselves. You know what I mean? And that's all it is she just wants people to stay away from her. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna respect that boundary, and I'm gonna enforce that and make sure that nobody comes up to her while holding her accountable for the thing we want her to do ultimately, which is stay on the bed.
So should I be doing this stuff kind of with her, like weekly?
You mean like taking her places?
Yeah.
Well, it's not necessarily you have to put a number on, like, do this twice a week or this or that. Most dogs that are under-socialized are really underexposed, right? Meaning they're not around it enough, you know? Like, you can even see it. She's walking by people and stuff like that. She's doing fine. She's not doing anything wrong, but she's just like, ooh, 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 you know? She's uncomfortable. So by tackling these little situations like this, it gains you so much leverage for your bigger situations. If we can get her more comfortable in this environment by her coming once a week, you know, once every other week, something like that, and it becoming truly just like no big deal,
Yeah.
she's gonna be much less uncomfortable in bigger scenarios. You know, especially in the winter time when it gets cold and we're not doing as much walking, or we are doing walking but we're not seeing anything.
Yeah.
You know, coming places like this can allow you to still get that exposure in, and picking different types of stores. You know what I mean? Like, you could do Home Depot, obviously. You could do Lowe's, right?
Yeah.
Other common ones people don't realize is TJ Maxx, Marshalls.
Really?
Pet friendly. Yep. Go to Crocker Park one day, and I would say at least 75% of the stores in Crocker Park are pet friendly. You can go walk around. So we'll make a right again. There's so many options, you know what I mean? And like, let's say you get her really comfortable here in Home Depot, then you get her really comfortable in Marshalls, right? And then you get her really comfortable walking around Crocker Park. Like, we're just stacking wins at that point, you know what I mean? We're generalizing that new places aren't that scary. They're not that bad. You know, over the course of training, like let's say like the board and train, for example, she learned to get comfortable at the shop, right? Like, she's cool there. She's like, yeah, people aren't that scary, right? The dogs aren't that scary. The training's kind of fun. You know what I mean? She knows what to expect and stuff like that. So she doesn't even have concerns when she comes into the shop anymore.
Right, yeah.
So now we need to generalize that to here, right? Or we need to generalize that to your parents' house, right? Or places like that. And that's your job to take the reins and just roll with it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool. Well, you know, she's made all this progress. She doesn't resource guard anymore. She listens to you on the walk, right? She listens to commands and stuff like that. She's still nervous around the people that come over the house. But we could take all that training we've done and we could say, instead of letting ourselves just plateau where we're at right now, where it's better, but it's still not where you want it to be, you have the ability to now get her out and continue to expand her world, right?
That makes sense.
And a lot of the reason why, like my dogs, for example, I got all of them when they were, whatever, you know, between 6 months, a year, stuff like that. A lot of the reason why I think they're so good is the first year I owned all of them, they went everywhere with me. Seriously, right? Like we did this all the time, right? We went to stores all the time, and we did it as training opportunities, right? So now they go new places, and it's just another new place. Right? It's just another new place. They know, I still got to listen to Dad here, right?
Yeah.
All these people, just because they're in a different place doesn't mean anything different is happening or anything. It's just a new place. It's loosening up a little bit. Yeah, I've even noticed the last couple of people we've walked by, it's been a little less flinchy and stuff. And even like loud noises like that and stuff, right? That's startling to them initially. It's understandable that she might be a little concerned about it, but we got to keep her focused still around it, right? It's our job to say, hey, I don't know what that new thing is, but it's not messing with you right now, so don't worry about it. She's doing fine here, obviously. You can tell the biggest takeaway here is just the going to new places, forcing her outside of her comfort zone a little bit, and getting her more exposed to this kind of stuff, right? I know she could do all this stuff with me, right? But she needs to start seeing you as the person that's going to take her out and about to these places and give strict direction and guidance to help her overcome some of those last fears that she has with stuff. When you get into a dog that's acting defensively, they're acting defensively because they don't feel like somebody else is going to be able to help them effectively through that. So by getting those wins in places like this where she's seeing you give direction. That's why I said come in these places more strict about your positioning. We went much higher on the levels and stuff like that. We're telling her, hey, I know you're nervous right now, but you got to keep it together here, right? You got to stay focused on me because I will handle those scary things for you. You know what I mean? That's so much of this. And then past that, like I said, not avoiding the hard things. Right? That is the biggest kicker with it. If we know she gets uncomfortable when guests come over the house, or she gets uncomfortable when guests are coming over and moving around, or around your dad or whatever it may be, that means she has to be in that situation as much as possible, right? Okay. And we're not catering it to her. This isn't the ginseng show right now, right? She needs to cater to us with that a little bit.
That's not what I've been doing. So.
Yep. Right, and that's a lot of it, right? It's normal. We try to look at like, oh, she gets uncomfortable by that. Like, let's try to pump the brakes on that a little bit, as opposed to nothing scary's happening, right? You got to keep it under control, right? And you need to adapt to this situation, right? And the more we push the envelope with that, while big time upping the accountability with it. So like, especially if she's acting as defensively as you're saying, right? If she takes one step off of that bed, I want that correction so high that she's like, holy shit, I should not make that mistake, right? Because we're letting it slide, right? We're letting the nonsense slide on the bed, but the second she makes that mistake and starts acting on it, boom, right? Taking advantage of that opportunity, that does not fly right now. She has to realize that.
Okay.
Right? So those are the couple adjustments I want to see you make here. I want to see you get her to more places, especially if the weather sucks out and you can't really get her exposed to outdoors. Take her to stores, right? 2, you gotta, I would say maybe like over the next like week or 2, try to get her around your dad as much as possible, or have guests come over as much as possible to be able to work on that kind of thing, and big time up the accountability with it.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
She is meeting my aunt and uncle's dog tomorrow.
Okay.
So, like, what's the best way to do that introduction?
Well, the first question I would have is, has she met your aunt and uncle?
No.
Okay. So, a lot of times, if we're going to socialize our dog, right, we can't socialize our dog with, oh, look at that, a little dog distraction. We can't socialize our dog with 2 new things at once, meaning we're either doing dog socialization or we're doing people socialization with things. So my question would be, are they coming to your house? Or are you going to their house?
They're coming to my house.
They're coming to your house. So
my thought was to just have them drop the dog off in the backyard and have them leave.
yeah.
I'm supposed to watch the dog.
I understand. So I'm not worried about her with other dogs. Obviously, she does fine with other dogs. That's not really much of a concern. So yeah, if they have the ability to like drop the dog off, like obviously that's ideal to make sure we're not like, you need to get comfortable with these people in your home and this dog in your home now. We could focus on one or the other. That being said, that is also a fantastic opportunity to work on exactly what we just talked about, which is her getting comfortable with guests coming over. Yeah. You know what I mean? So maybe what I would do is say, put her on the bed, have them come in and hang out for a little bit, but the dogs aren't going to meet yet. They could come in with their dog on a leash, go hang out on the couch, hang out, you know what I mean? Have a conversation with them, have them spend 20 minutes, 25 minutes, however long you want, just hanging out, where we focus on her staying calm with people coming in the house. Then when they go to leave, yeah, take the dog, go take them both out into the backyard, let them kind of do their thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But that would be how I would handle that situation, so we could still take advantage of, like, again, that's something we need to work on. We just can't have it be like she's playing with the dog and getting used to these new people at the same time.
Yeah.
A month is a long time, and there's definitely some groundwork you're going to have to put into place to make sure that that goes well, because that's essentially the equivalent of you adopting another dog, right? We're not treating this like, oh, I'm just watching a dog for a little bit. You have to treat this like, this is now my dog for the next month. Like, that's a long time and a lot of opportunity for problems to happen, right? You need to make sure the other dog is crate trained so that you could have a way to separate them, because they can't just be together 24/7.
Yeah.
Like that, you know what I mean? Like that can't happen, obviously. You need to make sure that there's strict boundaries set from both ends, right? If this dog comes in and doesn't have any training and just does whatever the hell that it wants to do and gets on the couch whenever it wants and goes and counter surfs and gets into things, you know, again, I don't know anything about the other dog, but let's say it's poorly behaved to some extent and comes in and does whatever the hell it wants to do, and she's not seeing you handle that. Yeah. She's saying, oh, Mom, you're letting this dog do whatever the hell it wants to do. It's not that she's going to develop those bad habits. It has nothing to do with that. She's going to adopt the mentality of, I need to discipline this dog for stuff.
Oh, okay.
Right? That's how it works, okay. Right? most times when dogs get into fights with each other or have any sort of conflict and stuff like that, it's stemmed around the concept of one dog is not seeing us discipline the other dog for things they need to be disciplined for. And it's not fair for us to be like, no, don't do it, because we should be disciplining, especially if it's we're going into it like it's our dog now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a big thing, right? Which means that you may have to have some proactive measures to be able to discipline this dog for things. That doesn't mean you need to go get an e-collar or anything like that, but maybe you have a couple squirt bottles laying around the house, right? Or a pet corrector, can of compressed air or something like that. So you could set some boundaries and make sure that dog realizes, hey, you're gonna live in my house for a month, you're gonna follow my rules.
Because it could be a situation, right, where this interaction, right, could set her off, right? Right now I want it to be something where you put it on high, so just crank it all the way up.
So what?
All to 100, just all the way up. Yep, yep. Because if it's something where the second that paw gets off, I want to correct her, right? Because the thing with this intensity that she's having with you coming together and all this stuff, right? It's so intense and it's such high stimulation that she kind of like loses it for a second. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it's something that
She goes into another place.
right, to bring her back to reality, I need to kind of like hit her on high, right? I need to kind of make a reason for her to kind of stop her in her tracks realistically, right? So it's something that, with that being said, that's what I'm looking for, right? So you can go ahead and just hand me the remote. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so that's really all I wanted. And now you could see right there, right? So I don't know if you saw it, but she started to kind of come off, right?
Sure she did,
So
'cause
it's
you put your
something,
hand to our shots in.
exactly. So it's something that she thought about it, right? And this is kind of what happens with her. She gets a little shaky and everything, right? So she's really starting to build up. So now what we're gonna do, before we even go and release her, I'm gonna have her kind of calm down again, right? So this could take 10 seconds, this could take 10 minutes, you know, but it's something that I want to kind of just see her kind of relax a little bit more, because you can see she is like, she's amped up, right? And so, but that's why I wanted her on high. And look, she did great there, right? So if you wanted to, you could even go over and you could reward her. So go ahead and tell her good, go ahead and give her a reward. Don't release her, just give her that reward and then kind of just walk away again. Perfect. Nice. So again, something where positively we are reinforcing that, right? You made the right decision. You wanted to come off, but you stopped yourself before you got that correction because you knew the consequence of breaking that command and you stayed, right? So with that being said, now you get the reward, right? So that's why, again, I want to reinforce that positive as much as that negative. And so we'll give her a second. She's a weird sitter.
I know, she does it all, it's so funny though, because like, I'm on the Facebook page of like all of the dogs that came from like Chicago Animal Care and Control, and like 90% of them are pitties. And everybody takes pictures of their dog and like that old, like it's like an old man on the couch sit.
Just a slunch.
Right, and I'm like, are you Fred Bundy? Like, what is that, right? Like, yeah, she's like, oh, I'm perfectly comfortable. Just
Right,
this.
yep. This is fine, this is fine. Yep. Yeah.
So funny.
So we'll give her a second to kind of calm down a little bit, and then I will have you release her once she kind of calms down a little bit. But yeah, but I mean, even that was good, right? That was something where it was a small, good starter, I think, you know. But it's something, again, to be aware of when we're doing this, because obviously we are going to be doing this a lot, interacting and switching stuff.
And it is all about her making the decision, like, on her own.
Yeah.
Like, coming to the right conclusion. Like, I could do this and be an asshole, or I could do this.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where us trying to make that communication comes into play, right? Because it's something where it's like, go ahead and try to be a jerk, but
Sorry, I used my
but it's all right.
bad words.
But it's something where you're going to get corrected on high, right? So again, yes, she's making that own decision, right? I don't have her tied to the wall or anything like that. If she wanted to come off, she very well could have.
Yeah.
But she knows the consequence now of, you know, even though it's mom, I know the consequence. I'm going to get corrected on high, and I don't want that. So what I would rather prefer is a couple pieces of kibble or treats from mom, right? And maybe a scratch on the head. So make that right decision, and that's what you'll get, right? So now that we have the tool and kind of the commands to help work her through it, it's something that now she's able to kind of make her own decisions, right? She's put in that position to do so. So go ahead and reward her, and then you can go ahead and release her as well. Good. So right back up on high, right? Thank you. Cool. Good girl. So this will be every interaction we're going to go on high, because I want to take advantage of every opportunity we have, right?
Sure.
Immediately go back down, right?
Like that right there was a miracle that she stayed down on the ground.
Yeah.
I know we're at Miracle Canine.
Yep.
But like us handing something off would elicit the same crazy response.
And it's going to be something where, you know, and I'm sure you will be like overly aware of these opportunities and interactions and stuff going home, because you know that it can happen in the smallest little thing, right? But it is important to do that, to kind of be aware of every little thing that could possibly set her off, so that we are, again, like we're doing right now, are ready for it if we need to, right? So that way she knows, like, okay, well, this is okay, you know, I need to kind of let this go, right? And again, I put her in that command so that she's held to that position, right? If she was released, she technically is in no command. She really has no rules, right? She knows she's still not supposed to do it, but giving her this command at least holds her to a little bit more of a tighter criteria of, if I even have intent to stand up right now, Seamus is gonna give me a correction, right? So it's not even, I'm not even gonna wait for her to lunge at you. I would just be looking at her, and the second she started rising up, I'd give her that correction, right? So that's another good thing that we'll eventually kind of roll into as well, is kind of prematurely setting up these little things that we can correct before we even get that reaction, right? So the bed stays, the down stays and stuff, right? So, and that was one thing that we did work a little bit, you know, with the greetings and everything, you know, is obviously having her on the bed stays, but also, you know, when I am walking up, I do have her in that like heel command as well, you know, so if it's something where we're just kind of like, as long as she's in a command, right? That's really the important part of it, is just making sure that like whenever we are expecting a greeting or something like that, you know, I want to try to get her into a safe position first, you know, make sure, hey, you good? Okay, cool. Now we can interact, right?
So like on the video, when she started sitting, was that because you gave her a command to sit?
No.
Or she just...
It was her making the right decision of, I keep doing this thing that I want to do, and I'm getting a really high correction on it. I don't want to do that anymore, right? I don't want to keep getting this high correction. Clearly something is wrong with it. So let me do something that I know is okay, right? Let me just go up and do the command, and then once I get into that time of when I always get those corrections, let's not repeat what I keep doing, right? So then she just started sitting, and again, in that same sense where the good and no have that same power, it's something where she started realizing, oh, if I sit here and I let him do his thing, then I get a reward.
Yeah.
that beats a high correction, right? So
Choose that.
yes, so that's where we started seeing that she was just sitting. She was like, cool, this worked,
Okay.
so that's what I want to keep doing.
That sit decision all by herself.
Yep. Yep. So it's something, and that's what I'm going to really be looking for, right? So it's something where, again, you're making the decision not to join, right? And that's really the understanding. That's when I start to know or feel confident in her being like, okay, you're starting to connect the dots, right? You're starting to realize what exactly you got corrected for. And not only that, but now you're trying to fix yourself before that problem even happens again, right? And you're getting rewarded for it. So that's what continues that good behavior, right? Obviously, it's a little step up from the bed stays because we're losing that kind of boundary, right? We're on a flat ground, we're on the floor, right? It's also something where if you're going to be outside, you're probably going to do a down stay, not a bed stay, right? You're not just going to lug a bed around. So this is where I want to be a little bit more specific with when she's in that down. Like, so that was a good example of like how she kind of like popped up, but she just wanted a better eye on you, right? So she kind of scooted.
Like, she wasn't getting up. She just wanted to like, I want to see you.
Right. So, yep. So
No.
tell her no, tap, and then repeat that command.
Down.
Perfect. So that was all really good timing, right? You saw the intent to come up. She broke it. Both elbows came up. You told her no. She kind of stopped in her tracks and went right back down, right? So that's what I want to see. And this is what I was going to get to as well, where she goes down, right? Again, I don't really care when I'm working it, where in proximity she is to me, right? But because especially if we're outside, we're going to have her on the leash, so she's only going to get as far as the leash anyways, even if she doesn't down right by me. But it's something that where she does down, I want it to be something where she knows that like that is her spot, right? It's not something where she downs over there and then you go over on the other side of the room, and you're talking to someone else or whatever, and she feels, or she can just like pop up, run over to you, and then down over by you, right? You still broke the command. She's still going to get that correction, and I'm actually going to want to bring her back to the general area. Yep, because it's something I want her to realize that like I put you in this position for a reason, and whatever reason that is, it's my reason. So you need to stay there, right? And so that's something that's where I want to be strict about it, because I don't want her to think that like, oh, well, if I just move over and I down, like that's really all you care about. It's like, no, I wanted you to down over there for a reason.
Location.
Exactly. So make sure that she is held to that position wherever or whenever you do use these downstays. I think having her out would be good. I think it would be benefit. It wouldn't hurt, I guess is what I'm saying. It wouldn't hurt to be in the crate, but I obviously would like her to be able to be out when you're having guests over and stuff.
Yeah,
so
and I feel like the crate is like a good thing and a bad thing, right? Like
right.
on the one hand, like if she's in the crate and she sees this thing happening, she's even more frustrated.
Right.
Right?
And
she's
so,
like, oh God, they're touching.
Yeah.
Ah.
So I think it would really I think it would depend on who you're having over, right? Are they willing to have that possibility of her breaking and you correct and that be a thing? Or are they a little bit nervous themselves and they feel more comfortable helping you do this with her in the crate, right? So I think it would really be kind of where you are comfortable and where your guest feels comfortable with it,
like
right?
I had some friends over for like somebody's birthday, right? And I was
Yeah.
having like 3 friends for dinner. Actually, Jen was one of them that's gonna come over on like Friday with us. So I was like, I'm cooking, there's 3 people here, like I can't keep an eye on her and do all of this. So I was like, great.
Yep.
So that's what we did.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
Like easier for everyone.
Yep.
But like if I have like one friend over, and yes, it would be great to have her in real life.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
you have to learn, Emeline. We can't just like always just go on the crate so that you don't have to like face your problem. Right.
Exactly. Now that we have the structures to do it, that'll be the benefit of the bed stays or the downstairs or whatever you want to work, right? Again, just making sure that we have that like constant remembrance of just like when she's in that command, she's working, right? She's on the clock, so we need to kind of just let her do her thing, right?
Like it'd be really interesting to like kind of use like this as like a recreation. Like she's in bed stay, I go to the door, she has to stay on place. Somebody comes in the door, hey, hi, how are you? Da, da, da. Like just kind of like recreate what would be happening in our house.
Yep.
and see if she can keep it together.
And that's exactly what we're going to work. Yep, that is the one thing that me and Kevin worked a lot with is in here, working with that bed stay over there and stuff, right? So it's clearly like we're giving her plenty of room, right? We're greeting like right here, so it's up to her whether she wants to make the decision or not. But again, it's just something where I think it'll be really good to work with you and with your friend because you're it, you know, you're the peak of that excitement and that stimulation. So, you know, we've been able to work with me and with Kevin and Senny and stuff, but now it's game time. Now it's like, you know, so we'll see what that kind of looks like in terms of working through it. So
Either that, Emeline, or you're not coming home.
Oh, I'll take her.
No.
Before I knock, she'll be kind of free. Once I knock, that'll be kind of like, oh, someone's here, let's go to your place, right? So yeah, so free roaming until I knock. Once I knock, that's your sign, okay, let me go and put her on that place, right? Once she's on, you can say, you know, come in, or whatever, you know, and then I will open the door, I'll come in, and we will greet kind of in the center, right? Now we're gonna be on high with that remote, right? And it's gonna be something that the second she takes that step off, right? That's when I want to catch her, right? And so this will be kind of something where we need to be able to, you know, kind of keep an eye on her and everything, but if I can catch her the second she makes that mistake, because that's really what we're correcting for, right? And that's why we have a reason to correct her sooner than waiting for her to actually lunge it off, right? So that's why it's going to be really important to try to catch her right as she steps off, right? And even if it's something that where she kind of, and this is kind of what like David was saying a little bit like yesterday as well, even if it is something where she's not really committed to running at us, maybe she kind of like takes that step off and then she catches herself, right? I still want to give that correction, right? Because that is why she's getting corrected,
Like a total black and white,
Yep.
like not even a toe.
Yep, exactly. Because it's something that, again, if we start letting her get away with that little things, she's going to take advantage of it, right? So I want to make it very clear in her mind that, nope, we're not doing that, right? So that is kind of how we're going to start here. And then I usually like to start kind of low, intense, you know, we'll come in and we'll just kind of shake hands at first. We won't really talk or anything like that. And then we'll just kind of work this repetition a little bit, kind of adding that intensity a little bit every time, getting to the point where we're clearly exaggerating our emotions and everything, and we'll give like a hug and stuff.
Regular.
Okay, perfect. Right. So perfect. So then it will just be normal, right?
Yeah.
So then we'll kind of end with that, and then that way it'll kind of be this slow build up to being able to kind of like work through it on any of this intensity.
Please. Good.
Oh, it's so hard, it's so hard, it's so hard.
One more. Go, girl. Enter.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm Ray.
Good to
Nice
see you.
Hello.
Perfect.
Welcome.
Go ahead and get that reward. Right. So you can definitely see there's a little bit more of that intensity on that one.
Such a good girl. Such a good
I
girl.
could see you in the background going.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You were so good, but that was so hard and you did it. You're so good. Good girl.
Yes.
Yes.
Doing that same one again?
So we're gonna kind of increase it a little bit more.
Okay.
Where a little bit louder that knock, right? Wait for her to get her on. And then when you come in, have a little bit more of that exaggeration. Hey, how's it going? Hey, good to see you. Give that quick hug, and then we'll just end scene.
I'll even add like a little jaw
Yeah,
towards
that works.
her.
That works, right? And just now we've been on a good streak, right? But that doesn't mean
I know.
that, right? So it's something where still be ready. So keep her kind of in your peripherals and wait for that paw even to come off, right?
Place. Good. Yeah.
good, Emeline.
That was great.
Good girl. That was amazing. Don't they say amaze balls?
And she's like hardly familiar with me at all.
Yeah.
I've interacted with her maybe one time, honestly. So that's awesome.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you. That was so great.
And now this is where that jackpot can come in. You can go and give her a little bit of that kibble, and then you can go down and give her a little bit of that loving, that extra loving.
Girl. Okay.